Some of our best memories come from the holidays that we take with our families as children. Whether holidaying in your own country or jet-setting to a faraway land, there's a holiday destination for everyone to enjoy. No holiday is ever plain sailing, but these 5 people vanished mysteriously on holiday, never to be seen again. Number 5. Chinese-born Li Yinglei set off to an Italian cruise holiday with her husband, 45-year-old German-born Daniel Belling, and their 2 children on February 9, 2017. The cruise set off from Italy and would take passengers to different Italian ports, as well as to the countries of Malta, Greece, and Cyprus, before returning to Italy on February 20, 2017. Although the couple were of German and Chinese origins, they'd chosen to settle down in Dublin, Ireland, settling their children in school and starting a life together. When Daniel and the 2 children disembarked the MSC Magnifica cruise ship, crew members noted that Lee was nowhere to be found. According to Daniel's version of events, Lee wasn't enjoying the holiday, and somewhere between Malta and Greece, she told him she wanted to get off and fly home. Once the ship reached Greece, Lee decided to stay on the boat while Daniel and the children went sightseeing around the city, but when they returned, Lee was gone. Daniel assumed that Lee had kept her word, packed her things, and had organized a flight back to Dublin, and that they would reunite once the cruise had finished. He also claims that Lee had done this before on another holiday, so he wasn't concerned for her safety. The last time that Lee was seen alive was on February 10, 2017, in Italy. The shop owner gave a statement in which he said, "I remember it well. We just opened and it was 10 a.m. First, she entered with the 2 children, and then he came in. He was agitated and pulled a pair of gym shoes out of a rucksack and yelled at the woman, 'Put these on instead of your sandals and shut up.' She was not seen disembarking the cruise ship, but all of her belongings were gone when the family returned." Daniel didn't report his wife missing because of the details we mentioned earlier, as she was known to cut holidays short. Instead, Daniel told the ship's crew that his wife had left early of her own volition and there was no cause for concern. As the ship's crew had not seen her since February 10th, when she had disembarked to Italy, they alerted the authorities as they had no official records of her returning to that trip. Daniel, on the other hand, claims that Lee had left when they were in Greece, so someone is lying. Daniel was arrested at the airport in connection with his wife's disappearance and subsequent murder. They believe that Daniel killed Lee before placing her in a suitcase and throwing her overboard of the ship. Lee's body has never been found, but Daniel Belling is currently under house arrest in Dublin, awaiting the outcome of the investigation against him. Daniel's lawyer, Luigi, told The Independent in July of 2020, "Mr. Belling stands accused of 2 crimes. The first is homicide, and the second is destruction of a body in the sea, where it's likely been destroyed by fish. These are very serious crimes, and he faces life in prison." His lawyer said, "He tells me I did not kill my wife. She is a very particular woman with a strong personality. My wife is in China or another part of Europe. She's done this before, where she's disappeared on a holiday." The investigation into the disappearance of Lee is still ongoing, and the court case against her husband, Daniel, is still pending. With the current COVID-19 situation, it may be a while before this case has its day in court. Number 4. Hugh Pham and Hugh Tran set off for what would be a trip of a lifetime in May of 2005. The pair, aged 71 and 67 respectively, had fled the Vietnam War by escaping on a tiny container ship with no resources. The pair landed in America, where they built a new life for themselves and their family. They survived 3 weeks on the container ship, fleeing a war-torn country, only to go missing from a cruise ship decades later. Pham and Tran had been gifted a 7-day Caribbean cruise on the Carnival Destiny for Mother's Day from their children. The couple had never been on a holiday before, and their children wanted to give them something back for the sacrifices they made in order for them to have a better life. What was supposed to be a trip of a lifetime turned into a holiday from hell for their family. On May 8, 2005, the ship's crew contacted one of their daughters, Sharon, and told her that her parents' personal items had been found on the deck that overlooked a 70-foot drop. A massive search ensued, with the Coast Guard and other agencies offering up their assistance, but Pham and Tran were never found. After 3 days, there was no sign of either of them, and the FBI concluded that they had somehow gone overboard, but they couldn't say whether it was intentional or foul play due to a lack of evidence. Some people have put forward theories that this was a suicide pact carried out by the couple, but this has been heavily disputed by the family. Their son, Michael, told the Guardian newspaper, "Two American citizens with no personal or financial problems, no serious health problems, living the happiest time of their lives, both vanished without a trace or witness." As of 2020, the disappearance of Hugh Tran and Hugh Pham remains unsolved. Their remains have never been found, and there are no real answers as to what happened. Did the couple carry out a pact, or had they fallen overboard and perished at sea? Number 3. Charles Hovarth Allen was born August 21, 1968 in Ontario, Canada, to a British mother and a Canadian father, which granted him dual citizenship. Charles was brought up in England by his mother, Denise, who always yearned to be back in the Great White North. In the spring of 1989, when he was 21 years old, Charles set out for a long holiday to Canada, where he would hitchhike and work his way around until he reached his dad and godfather in Ontario. The last known sighting of Charles was on May 26, 1989, at a bank in Orchard Park. He'd been staying at a tiny tent town campsite in Kelowna, British Columbia, and had made plans to meet up with his mother Denise in Hong Kong that August. The trip to Hong Kong to meet his mother was to be for her 40th birthday celebration, where they would be joined by Charles' stepfather. He sent a fax to his mother on May 11th about the trip, but this was the last time that anyone heard from him. After his mother hadn't heard from him in quite some time, she called the RCMP, begging them to investigate her son's whereabouts, as she knew something was wrong. The RCMP were reluctant to investigate, as Charles was an adult and could do as he pleased, adding the fact that he was backpacking his way around Canada and his disappearance was largely ignored. When Charles didn't arrive in Hong Kong for birthday celebrations, Denise immediately called the RCMP, who searched the campground but found no signs of Charles. His sleeping bag, clothes, ID, and other possessions were all at the campsite, but no Charles. In the 2 months that Denise had called the RCMP to insist they track down her son, it's unknown how many clues and witnesses slipped through the fingers of the RCMP. Over the years, the Allen family had many false hopes in the search for their loved one. Denise received an anonymous note in 1992 saying that Charles had been killed at the campsite he was staying at, but as the RCMP have never found the body, they haven't given a lot of weight to this note. Upon searching a nearby lake for Charles, the RCMP came across the body of a young man, and his family waited 6 agonizing weeks for the RCMP to confirm the body found was not Charles. The communication between the RCMP and Charles' family has been poor at best. The last piece of information we have about Charles' whereabouts comes from a grainy CCTV image as he cashed a check at the bank in Orchard Park. He's been officially declared dead by the courts, but Denise's fight for justice and answers is far from over. She told Leeds Live, "Families of missing people will never get closure. You'll always have lost a loved one, but if I can get some answers, I think it will ease the torment I've suffered for the last 31 years. My brain never rests. It's always asking questions. I worry that I may go to my grave never knowing." If you have any information about the disappearance of Charles, you're urged to contact the RCMP or the British police. Number 2. In 1982, 20-year-old Perth native Tony Jones decided to go backpacking around Australia for 6 months. Tony planned to work while he was traveling in order to help pay for hostels and in order to meet people who may be interested in traveling with him or be able to provide him with a ride. Toward the end of his 6 months working holiday, Tony planned to meet up with his older brother Tim at Mount Isa. His older brother, taking a leaf out of his younger brother's book, decided to cycle and work his way through Australia to Mount Isa, where the pair would meet up and then travel home. The two kept in regular contact by phoning and leaving messages with their family, which they would then relay to each other. The last confirmed contact that the Jones family had with Tony was on November 3, 1982, when he called his family only to hear that Tim had already reached the meeting point at Mount Isa a few days ahead of schedule. Their mother transferred $150 into his bank account for the brothers to use to get home, and that was the last time Tony Jones was ever heard from again. According to the phone call and witness accounts, Tony had planned to hitchhike his way up to Mount Isa from Townsville, where he had been staying. Tony never managed to make it to Mount Isa, and ever since, his brother has been tirelessly searching for answers. He told ABCAU News in 2018, "We got information 4 or 5 years ago about possible suspects in the case. We thought the suspects looked strong. It started to explain what might have happened to Tony. In recent weeks, we've been given information that confirms our suspicions. We now believe he was picked up by a group of young people. Events unfolded that ended up with Tony being killed and his body being disposed of that evening. There's currently a $250,000 reward for information in Tony's case. No detail is too small or insignificant, and if you have any information, you're urged to contact Crime Stoppers at 1-800-333-000. Number 1. Natalee Holloway's case is among the most talked about when discussing people who went missing while on a holiday. This case could also warrant a whole video on its own to get to the depths of the details. In 2005, Natalee, then aged 18, went on a school trip with 124 other students from the Mountain Brook High School. The students went on a 5-day holiday to Aruba, something that had been done for many years at the school and had almost become a rite of passage to those graduating. As the drinking age was 18 in Aruba, the students took full advantage of this and had wild parties and would even drink cocktails early in the morning. Natalee's friends recalled that she drank all day every day and that her drinking was excessive and had begun to worry them. The class of 2005 were so rowdy that the hotel they were staying in told the school they were not welcome back the following year. At 1:30 a.m. on May 30th, 2005, Natalee was seen leaving with 17-year-old Joran Vandersloot, who was attending the International School of Aruba. She was seen entering a silver Honda with 2 other males, Deepak Kalpoe and Satish Kalpoe, as well as Joran. Natalee was under the influence of alcohol, but friends assumed this was some sort of holiday romance and that Natalee would be coming back the following morning. The next day rolled around and there was no sign of Natalee. The class of 125 students and their chaperones were due to fly home that very day, but there was no sign of Natalee. Her suitcase and passport were left in her room, where she left them the night before. The last people to see her were Joran and the 2 men in the car, along with classmates who recalled seeing her get into the car. After that, the story of what happened to Natalee Holloway is unknown. While Joran Vandersloot has been arrested and questioned many times, Aruban and Dutch police have been unable to formally connect him to the case, though he is the main suspect. He's made attempts at extorting money from the Holloway family in exchange for the location of their daughter, but the details he has provided have not come to fruition. The case of Natalee Holloway remains unsolved, with her body never having been found, despite numerous land and air searches being performed in and around Aruba. The FBI is now involved with the disappearance of Natalee Holloway and are seeking information. If you believe you have any information about this case, you're urged to contact your nearest FBI office or the US Embassy in Venezuela at 011-58-212-907-8335. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked this video, be sure to click that like button. Also, don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell to keep up to date with all of our future uploads. But I've been Ty Knotts, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.